One of the big stories in this part of the world this month was Vietnam's victory in the ASEAN Championship, or the Mitsubishi Cup as it's known. Now, it was their third title. They beat two-time defending champions Thailand 5-3 on aggregate in a two-legged final. That's kind of a relic of the past, isn't it? Two-legged finals. Vietnam also achieved a perfect streak of 7 wins in a single ASEAN Cup campaign. It was an accomplishment unmatched in the tournament's 29-year history. Now, the MVP and the top scorer was Vietnam's Raphaelson, the ye olde Vietnamese name Raphaelson. He became a dual citizen, in fact, of Vietnam and Brazil in September last year. But the celebrations were absolutely epic. People flooded the streets, flags, horns, cars just parked wherever they could stop. Street storming is what it's called, in fact. And I've been lucky enough to have been in Vietnam for a number of these tournaments. It's hard to express just how passionate the entire country is about their football team. But don't take it from me. Let's take it from a man who knows exactly what those celebrations were like and just how Vietnam won the trophy. I spoke to local Vietnamese journalist Ju. Ju, thanks so much for joining us here on This Sporting Planet. First of all, just give us an idea of what football means to the people of Vietnam. Is it a sport that really captures the public imagination?
Football is not just a sport, but also an integral part of the cultural and spiritual life of Vietnamese people. For a long time, football has been a symbol of uniting national pride and an endless sources of inspiration for generations. Across the country, from urban cities to rural villages, the sight of football matches, whether in grand stadiums or on open fields, it ignites a burning passion. And when the Vietnamese national team plays, the whole nation seems to share the heartbeat. Moreover, football sparks imagination and dream among the youth. Many children play football with hope that one day they too can wear the national jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there in Hanoi, actually, I think it was, for one of the AFF Cups, the Suzuki Cup it was called back then. And you're right, there's this walking street that, well, nobody could walk on it because it was just full of people sitting down and watching the football on the big screens and then very much celebrating, storming the streets afterwards. Now, the final was played over 2 legs, both of which Vietnam won. But that second leg in particular seemed like such a thrilling match. Can you just take us through what happened on the pitch in the final?
What can I say? In the first leg, Duc Truong's praise helped Vietnam secure a narrow victory. And as for the second leg, I can say that it was like a roller coaster ride, taking views from one surprise to another. In my opinion, the highlight of the match was the moment when Super Truong, the striker of Thailand, scored a controversial goal to make it 2-1. Many consider it as an act of an unfair play. However, this moment seemed to fuel Vietnam's determination even further. First of all, before the match, a Vietnamese player during an interview, and he's very confident he started. We are not afraid of Thailand, and on the pitch, they prove it. They overcome psychological pressure, and the intense atmosphere is created by over 50,000 fans at the Rosamanga Stadium, yet one of the most scariest stadium all over the world. So, yeah, I can say so. And so, in Vietnam scored 2 late goals to secure a thrilling 3-2 victory. And after Vietnam conceded the second goal, the players, they worked hard to avoid collapsing under pressure. They stayed composed, maintain this playing style, and capitalize on every opportunity to turn the game around.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many great performances all over the park, but the MVP of the tournament was Raphaelson, or Nguyen Xuan Son, I guess we should call him, in Vietnam, because he only gained his citizenship a few months ago, then made his debut in the final group stage game, eventually finishing the tournament as top scorer with 7 goals. How important was he to the Vietnam cause?
About Duc Truong, yes. He has a combination of strength in winning ball and holding the ball. The ability to lay the ball off and bring other players into the game, as well as high quality at scoring at different kinds of goals. I'm sure that defender in Southeast Asia will find him too hard to handle. It will be interesting to see how he fares against best defender from all part of Asia. About Duc Truong, maybe his contributions goes beyond technical skill. His presence brought a fresh dynamic to the team, both tactically and mentally. He is the type of player who capitalizes on opportunities and consistently makes a difference in crucial moments, particularly in the final Yeah, especially in the first leg of the final match. This demonstrates that graduation is an integral part of Vietnam's journey.
Now, I've seen lots of videos and photos of the celebrations in Vietnam, and in particular, the street storming that took place. Firstly, just tell us exactly what is street storming, and secondly, just how wild were those celebrations after the final?
This is a very interesting question about street storming. This is a popular term in Vietnam. It's used to describe the celebratory sense where people take to the streets after a major sport event, especially when the national team secure a victory. People usually drive motorbikes carrying red flag with yellow star, blowing horns and chanting slogans to create an incredibly lively and vibrant atmosphere across the street. After the final match of the ASEAN Cup, the celebration in Vietnam truly erupted. Thousands of people they flocked to the street to share the joy of victory.
Well, we look forward to seeing where this Vietnamese football team can go from here. Ju, thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, incredible stuff there. As I mentioned, I think to both of you, I've been in Vietnam when they have won massive football tournaments like that, and Ju's absolutely correct. Street storming is a ridiculous phenomenon. Don't think of getting anywhere in the city that night because you are going to be stuck behind people with bikes and flags and horns. I mean, what about you two? Do you experience that kind of thing in your part of the world?
Well, I will just say, I think that's the essence of this sporting planet. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, whether it's in Hanoi or New York City, Los Angeles, London, Munich. It's fans that love sport. And we also love sport. It brings the world together and it kind of shrinks the distance between us all because we can all relate to what they were going through. And storming the streets of Hanoi, I mean, the joy they felt and just the video of that. And Edward, you've been there, you've experienced before. Yeah, if you're going somewhere in a hurry, it's not happening. And I think with Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl, the streets shut down. It's almost a national holiday in that state. So I think it was pretty cool. And how great is that? How often are you going to talk about football in Vietnam? But to those people, biggest day of the year.
I think street storming, I love the term street storming. I've never heard of that before. But yeah, I mean, you see it over here. Obviously, we have celebrations when clubs, I'm talking about football clubs in particular, will win titles. So you see the bus top parade. But if I go back to when Brentford won promotion, finally through the playoffs, having never won a playoff before, all around where I live, it was lit up. The buzz was incredible. There were thousands of people on the streets stopping the traffic. There were people on the bridges, like Kew Bridge, if you know where in London, in West London, Kew Bridge that connects the north and the south of London. Flares were being lit all over that bridge. It was an incredible night of celebration. And thousands turned up at the stadium, knowing that the players were going to turn up there for their sort of party afterwards. So, yeah. And who can forget when we had Gary Al Smith on a few podcasts ago, where he joined us to talk about the Africa Cup of Nations and how Ivory Coast won. And he basically hadn't gotten over the celebrations by the way he was talking. So, yeah, you can tell that they had some street storming in the Ivory Coast as well.